Okay, we're now going to look at stereo microphone techniques. So stereo versus mono, and why would you record in stereo? Mono is using one microphone, and stereo is using two or more microphones to achieve a difference between the left and right channels. Recording a sound source in stereo can make it appear sounding wider in the stereo image and not narrow like when we're recording in mono. This is because when you record in mono, you are dealing with the same information split across both the left and right speakers. However, when recording in stereo, you can individually hard pan two microphones to each speaker, creating a difference in sound quality. This can make an overall mix seem more interesting and allow for more space for other instruments to be heard. The biggest thing to watch out for, however, when recording in stereo is the phase alignment. So what is phase? Phase equals time of arrival of two different sound sources merged together. Phase specifies the location of a point within a cycle of a repetitive waveform. For most purposes, the phase differences between sound waves are important, rather than the actual phase of the signals. When two sound waves are combined, for example, the difference between the phase of the two waves is important in determining the resulting waveform. The phase difference between two sound waves of the same frequency moving past a fixed location is given by the time difference between the same positions within the wave cycles of the two sounds. The peaks, then the positives going zero crossing, for example, expressed as a fraction of one wave cycle. So here we have two different waves, and the phase is pretty good, as you can see that when this one's going up, the other one's going up as well. If this one was going down, at the same time this one was going down, then they would be 180 degrees out of phase. So the height refers to the amplitude. The distance is the time. So why is correct phase important? It is important when recording with more than one microphone that the microphones are positioned correctly. The 3-to-1 rule of mic placement is put simply when two microphones to record a source, trying to place the second mic 3 times the distance from the first mic. As the first mic is from the source, so if the first mic is 1 foot from the source, the second mic should be placed 3 feet from the second mic. Using this simple 3-to-1 rule can minimize phase problems created by the time delay between microphones. Having one mic out of phase can cause issues such as comb filtering or even cancelling out a sound completely. So now we can look at some specific techniques for recording in stereo. This first stereo mic technique is AB, which is also known as the space pair. The space pair technique involves taking two microphones, ideally a matched pair, and placing them the same distance away from the sound source, spaced apart from each other, one on the left side and one other on the right. This method is used to create a wide stereo image of the instrument due to its distance and width of each microphone placed. The more they are spaced apart from each other, the wider the instrument will sound and the more phase will become an issue. However, for a more narrow image, the mics can be placed together. The space pair position is very popular for recording drum overheads, as it captures a full picture of the entire kit and creates a great stereo image for drums, primarily focusing on the cymbals when hard pan left and right. The next one is XY, or coincident pair. XY coincident stereo microphone consists of using two microphones that are placed right next to each other, that the diaphragms are as close together as possible without touching one another. XY stereo miking is one of the most common types of stereo miking setups, and is the one that you want to likely use when you are stereo miking. It allows for the best phase alignment when using two or more microphones. It is important to keep the microphones a fair distance away from the sound source, however, to get the stereo effect, otherwise it would appear to sound more mono. Then we have ORTF. An ORTF combines both the volume differences provided and sound arrivals on and off axis at the two cardioid microphones spread to a 110 degree angle, as well as the timing differences as the sound arrives at the two microphones spaced 17 centimeters apart. It is used to simulate the space of human heads to capture the way that we hear instruments naturally in a room. This method can achieve a very realistic sound reproduction of an instrument when set up and used correctly. However, it's quite time consuming to set up and get right, and can require a stereo bar or ruler to get the correct measurements. This technique is popular for recording piano, acoustic guitar, or drums such as overheads or room mics. Then quite a advanced technique here, we have mid-side, using 2 more microphones. A mid-side is a coincident technique, meaning that both mics are placed as closely as possible to each other, and the stereo image is created by the differences in loudness rather than time delays. On which other stereo miking methods used, such as space pair, mid-side uses a mid microphone, which is here the mid microphone, which is usually a cardioid pickup pattern. See here the cardioid pickup pattern, but it can also be omni. And this mid microphone is used to aim straight at the source, while a second bidirectional microphone, which is figure 8, it's figure 8 here. The bidirectional figure 8 microphone is used to pick up sound from the sides. To create a stereo image, the signals must be decoded by either a mixer or a dedicated decoding plugin. Mid-side decoding requires what is called a sum and a difference matrix. To get the sum, you add one side signal to the mid signal, and to get the difference, you subtract the other side signal from the mid signal by shifting its polarity 180 degrees. And you'll use a DAWs mixer to decode the mid-side recording by opening up a project with 3 tracks, one for the mid microphone, one for the side microphone, and a third to put a duplicate of the side and then reverse its phase of the original track. Another one that's really common now is the Blumlein technique, and this was invented by Adam Blumlein. Blumlein coincident recording techniques using 2 figure 8 ribbon microphones is a benchmark for producing an authentic representation of a performance in a room. The Blumlein method uses 2 elements angled at 90 degrees and is mounted in close proximity to each other along the vertical axis. It is similar to the XY configuration, however it's using 2 figure 8 polar pattern microphones instead of cardioid. It is very good for recording drum room mics or capturing the room sound for a piano or just any other instrument really. Then the least popular but one of the oldest methods is the Decker tree configuration. The Decker tree involves using 3 microphones set up in a triangle or a tree configuration, with one being high up in the air, like this one, over the center of the performance, and 2 other microphones spaced apart on either side, and the other one lowered near the ground, with the microphones capsules all facing towards each other. This method is popular for recording a full picture of a large orchestra in a single performance. It allows each instrument in the room to be captured well. This method is the least popular technique in the modern studio today.